Hello Capricorn, Capricorn Rising, and Capricorn Moon people. This is your weekly astrological and card forecast for the week starting January 30th, 2017. And a quick reminder for you guys, when I say Moon and Rising, I mean you Capricorn Moon and Rising people, and I also mean those of you who know to check your Moon and Rising signs, because remember, this does have an extra dimension to it, so I would highly recommend looking at both sides of it. Whatever you know about your chart is good. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, a personal session with me, you can always go to my website, integrativemysticism.com. So, what is going on with your astrology this week? Well, this week, we've got Mercury coming out of its shadow in your sign, and it's going to be forming a T-square. And we've actually had this T-square before, back in December, when Mercury T-squared Jupiter in your 10th house of career, and Uranus in your 4th house of home and family. And interestingly enough, this is a good T-square because whenever Jupiter's involved, we tend to find the good in it, but it does involve you being put on the spot. That's sort of like the phrase of the week for everyone, getting put on the spot. But where? And for you, it is having to do with people at work, and even relatives and people at home, suddenly deferring or giving a lot of responsibility, but the final decision, the final say, to you. And this could be a very interesting week because you might not necessarily feel qualified or informed enough to start making huge decisions that could be affecting other people. Whether, again, it's making decisions on behalf of the entire family or making decisions on behalf of your work and career. This would be a great time for those of you that have been looking to maybe even consider making a drastic alteration to your career path, whether it's transferring to a new place or even moving to a new location to secure a job. But again, we've got to pay attention. Other people are also looking to us while we make those decisions to be able to keep them in mind. And so you've got to be able to kind of keep your work team, your family in mind when you start making these big decisions, because everyone's going to be doing whatever you want them to do. So don't leave them out, okay? So big week as far as being able to kind of customize and control perhaps some career or work or home situations that have gotten a bit out of control. But again, don't forget the little guy, and don't forget the people who are waiting for you to make sure that you're keeping a good word in your head for them. So what is going on with your cards this week? Well, for your spiritual advice, we do have the card of the Blood Month. Alright, I know we've had this card for you before. It's a very Capricorn kind of card, because it's basically talking about making sure, again, that we keep our promises, and that we don't go back on our word. Now this card can indicate pay attention though and stay humble. You know, stay true to your words and your feelings until and unless experience or fact prove you wrong. But at this point in time, it's also important to pay attention to where you end up in a situation where you might want to take something off the table. You've got to actually work a little bit harder to do that. Remember, a lot of things that we say and do this week are going to be for keeps and affecting a lot of people. So we don't want to be throwing things around idly. We don't want to be, saying things in jest. We don't want to be doing anything too melodramatic, because people are going to be taking things very, very seriously. You may be making a joke and somebody thinks it's a threat, or somebody thinks it's a promise. And for that matter, with the Blood Month card, check in with people a lot this week. Make sure that even though you're not making plans, and for all intents and purposes, it doesn't look like a conversation where people are making plans, somebody might get the wrong idea and just go forth with something you never said you were going to do. And sometimes it's an innocent mistake. But, for their sake, keep an eye out. For your Earth sector, when it comes to your work and finances, we do have the Sun card upright. Glorious news as far as the work front is concerned, because the Sun talks about a big opportunity for not only healing and recovery, but maybe even getting a chance to start making some money without actually earning it. Maybe it's not necessarily without earning it. Maybe that's not a good way to phrase it. But the Sun card upright is talking about extra benefits, extra surprises, or perhaps even just getting paid or compensated maybe disproportionately for how much work you've actually had to put in, which might not be so much. This may actually show up in the form of a very nice cushy job as far as something brand new is concerned, but also with the Sun card upright, we want to pay attention to where there's sort of a revitalization or a revival in terms of our earning power this week. We're just coming off the heels of this new moon in your earned income sector anyway, and the Sun is going to be in this spot of your chart all the way up until mid-February. So I'm not surprised if we're going to start to see some early payoffs as well as some quick increases in what you're normally used to bringing home at the end of the week. But this would be the week I think that gets it kicked off. For your communications with air when it comes to your friends, your relatives, the others in your life, we do have the Knight of Swords upright. And it looks like somebody's coming to the rescue this week. The Knight of Swords upright, somebody might actually be coming to defend you. Whether they're defending you in front of you or backing you up behind your back, somebody is actually trying to make sure that somebody else does not miss the point or take things too far. And for some reason I'm just getting a rescue vibe from this card. If you feel like maybe you've been in a situation with family or with friends where somebody's not backing you up, maybe you feel like people have been taking sides, people have been doing something, nasty or kind of shady, or maybe you just feel like people have been being a bit fake and unfair. The Knight of Swords upright says you do have a friend who knows what's going on. Now, he or she may have been sort of maybe trying to keep the peace a little bit, maybe trying to not speak up, turn a blind eye. You know how sometimes people, want to go to their hidey hole and check out and hope for peace and all of that. Well, it looks like they've seen the light, and it looks like they're ready to actually kind of stick up for you instead of just watching you from a safe space. The Knight of Swords upright is also interesting here because we have this person kind of charging in and sticking up for you in a situation where you might be afraid to stick up for yourself. Sometimes it's hard to stick up for yourself in front, to say a relative who's going too far or somebody close, but you might actually need to take this person's example. This person's sticking up for you, and maybe you should be sticking up for you too. For your challenge this week with fire, we do have the Wheel of Fortune reversed. This card again is saying, be careful about, being too passive this week. The Wheel of Fortune reversed as a challenge is basically talking about Capricorn, where have we been taking too much of a wait-and-see attitude? Maybe we've been trying to, let go and, let spirit, or let go and let God, or, surrender and, and hope for the best. But with the challenge of the Wheel of Fortune reversed is basically saying that's not meant to be 100% of your waking life. The challenge with the Wheel of Fortune reversed is basically saying pay attention to where, we are actually meant to be, again, co-creating, actually working with this. And, creating, putting what we want forth into being with our own actions and our own energies. Where have we been passive too much? Where have we been, because if we are being too passive, we're waiting too long to give input, we're waiting too long to push something forward. Unfortunately, the challenge with the Wheel of Fortune is we may miss that whatever it is we're trying to get off the ground may miss its shot, again, if we take things too leniently. For your emotions with water and your romantic life, we do have the Two of Cups upright. And this is the card of the heart-to-hearts. This is the card of communion. This is the card of finally being able to get close and bond beyond the barriers, the walls, and the boundaries that we normally put up with just any old, asshat off the street. And when I see this, I like this card for those of you who are coupled and for those of you who are single as well, because the Two of Cups is like no secrets, open-hearted sharing, and and the possibility of coming together in union. What I like to see with the Two of Cups upright is that people are no longer trying to save face, they're not trying to give off impressions, they're not trying to, there's no contrivances in what we're trying to make here as far as a connection. Somebody wants the same kind of relationship you do now, or maybe you've come around to their way of thinking, or this is a brand new person who already knows too. But the nice thing about this is we don't have to hide that from each other, and we don't have to try to impress each other anymore either. And I think that even if there's been walls up in an existing relationship, because people sure as hell do like to save face and, try and, maintain some control in those kinds of situations too, we have some humbling, but the kind of humbling that leads to love. So that is your forecast. I hope you enjoyed it, Capricorn. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And of course, if you'd like to get a session, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.